My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Doctor Sleep, and this review will have spoilers, so that's your warning. But making a sequel to The Shining couldn't have been an easy task. Like, do you follow up on the book or the movie? How do you please fans of both? Do you even try? And I think this movie, for the most part, succeeds. I don't think it's as great as some people claim it to be, but I still enjoy it. I just like the ambition of this movie. It's trying to do a lot, and it's a lot less of a horror movie, and it's more of an action sci fi. Like, it kind of reminds me of the X Men, but that's okay. I don't want an exact recreation of The Shining. It still carries over enough of the same ideas that it feels like its own thing while still being a follow up. And I do like the way that this movie tackles trauma and how Danny's trying to become a better person, how he doesn't want to be like his dad. That was really well done. And I also like how this movie explores death, how people are afraid of death and it corrupts them, or how some people comfort dying people in their time of need. And there's just something so universal about that. I also think the entire cast does a good job. There's not a performance here as good as Jack Nicholson or Shelley Duvall, but everyone gives a good performance. Ewan McGregor carries this movie very well. He brings a lot of range to his character. Then you've got Kaylee Curran, who I thought gave a good performance. Then you've got Rebecca Ferguson, who some people think she's amazing in this movie, and I certainly think she's really good, but I don't think it's like a top tier horror performance or anything. You've got Cliff Curtis, who I like in almost everything he's in. You've got Zane McLaren, who I thought did a good job. Emily Island Signed, who was good. But I actually think the best performance in this entire movie goes to Jacob Tremblay. Um, what happens to this kid in this movie is a lot, and he just sells you on the pain and the agony and the terror of that situation. Like, for such a brief time, he really commits to this movie. And I also do like how they didn't try to de-age any actors, they didn't deep fake any actors. They brought in new actors for characters we already know. So Alex Esser, Roger Dale Floyd, Henry Thomas, and Carl Lumbly, I thought all did a good job as well. This movie is well directed by Mike Flanagan. I think it's got some nice visuals. I like the dreamlike vibe it has every now and again, and I also like the brutality. The Jacob Tremblay scene is very effective, and there's one scene with Rose's hand that I love. I also like the production design of this movie. It recreates the Overlook Hotel incredibly well, but I do not love this movie, and there's one main issue why, and it's the fact that it's too long. I watched the 2.5 hour long cut. An hour 50, 2 hours would have been the perfect one time. This movie can be very messy. Like, the entire first act, it takes forever to get things going. Like, it begins by setting up walls, and then it cuts to Danny, and then it cuts to Abra, and then it goes back to Danny, and then there's a time jump, and it's just like, no, don't do that. Focus on Danny and for the first 10-15 minutes, then do the time jump, then focus on Rose and Abra then. Because it's just very messy, and I definitely felt the lengths of this movie, especially in that first act. I also think there's too many scenes of them just driving in the vehicle. It's okay to just cut to them arriving at the location. I don't need to see the entire road trip. I also think the last act is a bit messy. Like, it builds to this big climax, and I just found it to be pretty underwhelming. And the last act feels dragged out because there's so much fan service at play. And I just feel like there's an easy way to cut this movie down because there is so many unnecessary scenes. Um, yeah. I also think that some of the exploration of death gets lost in the mix, and that's why a more streamlined version of this movie would greatly benefit from it. So, yeah, I still like this movie. It's trying to tackle some big ideas, and it does a good enough job. It's well directed. It's got some great memorable moments. The cast does a good job. It brings enough new here while still carrying over some ideas, and I like that about this movie. It might be too long, it might need a little tidy up in the first and last act, but I still enjoy this movie, and I'll give Doctor Sleep a 6.5 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Doctor Sleep? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon, and Gavin out.